Well, I don't really know where to go with this this little bit of the video. I lost a really close friend yesterday. And y'all will know him as Bill the Fabricator. I've known Bill for as long as I can remember, and he was always there for me and taught me cool things and cool stories about when he was growing up and his time in Vietnam. And he was really close to my cousin Louie, who also passed away back in, I believe it was 99 when I was in Korea. And Bill took that quite hard. And he still talks about him to this day. Well, until very recently. And I told him he needed to go be with Louie and his dad. It was a difficult thing to watch him die and take his last breath. It makes you realize that you really need to get out there and live life. I would have never thought that Bill would have deteriorated so quickly and then pass away. It was really hard to be there with all his family and so much pain in that room. So this Bill series is dedicated to Bill the Fabricator, my friend, my buddy. He hated when I called him that. You Vietnam vets would know why. My mentor, my brother. The build will go on. I do need to take a break. Probably not long. I think I'd go crazy without being down here and tinkering. But we do have to go through the process and grieving process. And we're not going to bury Bill. He's going to be cremated. And Jacob and I have worked on a really cool memorial for Bill. We've been down in the garage for the last few days. We've been working on it for, since yesterday. About 6 o'clock we started. And I think that was more to avoid the pain of what had happened, what had transpired. But we're going to, we should have that finished tomorrow. I'll miss you, Bill. If there's people out there you love, make sure you tell them. Tell them every chance you get.
I didn't set myself on fire. Yay!
All right, hey everybody, it's Steven Vincent here, and that over there is the Blur, and this over here is me welding. Yup, I decided to do everything myself and try that, see how it works out. Again, remember, I'm just a beginner, but I managed to get the bracket welded on down here on the cradle. It's not the best work in the world, but it should be strong enough to hold. Done some modifications on the other bracket. I welded up some holes that we don't use. So I'm gonna smooth all that out over here on the grinder. And of course, I did a little extra work to the new firewall side mount. As you can see here, I just gotta get her all cleaned up. I got the Dremel out. We're gonna make her look all pretty. Bill, the fabricator, is very, very ill with double pneumonia, and he's not getting any better. He's over at the VA hospital, so yeah, it's been pretty rough last few weeks. I've done a lot of work here on the shop, as you've seen earlier. You know, it's just, I need a break. I had a lot going on, and we're waiting on a lot of parts. The wiring should be here anytime. I will show you, I did start on the coolant hoses, like I said I was. Let me show you down here. As you can see, I just started on that over there. It's coming out pretty good. There we go. That's me just starting on the coolant hoses. I got a lot more work to do there. I will show you in a video, you know, what it's like and the process. It's with it being so cold, then that's aluminum. It's just sucking the heat out of it so quick. I'm gonna have to take it over to Bill's and use his torch to get the pipe hot enough. By the time the Durafix starts to melt, the pipe's cooling off too quick. And when I say you gotta get this stuff hot, you gotta get it really, really hot. And it cools off so quick, you just can't do it with MAP gas, not as cold as it is. But I wanna show you I am working. I should have the engine transmission back in the car tomorrow or the next day, and then I'll jump back on the coolant hoses and I'll show you what that's all about soon, all right? Comment below. Tell Bill you hope he feels better. I'll make sure that he sees the video. But I'm rooting for him. I love him, and we got a lot of adventures to go on. So he needs to get his ass better soon.
All right, hello everybody. As I stated earlier in one of the videos, I'm going to do the process. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. I'm going to go through the process of reassembling one of the suspension sides and go through the axle measurement process. I'll show you how to do it on one of the sides. Both sides would be kind of boring, but it's pretty much the same either way. So that said, let's get to work.
And one of the things I like to do when I'm reassembling the suspension, I haven't done it here because obviously it's not going in for the last time, but I like to take the ends of the bolts where the nuts screw on and clean them up on the wire wheel on the bench grinder, hit them with the wire wheel, clean the threads off real nice so they can thread in usually by hand. And yeah, I still have the hiccups.
As I was stating earlier, I reassembled the suspension because it's not the final kind of like assembly where you have to go through the torquing process. I really didn't want to bore you with all that. So I got it all buttoned up. Everything is a little better than finger tight because I don't want any deflection as I'm going up and down through the motion. Right now the car is at full droop. Now the dry shaft shop wants the measurements taken from ride height all the way up to full compression. So I'm going to do that three ways. I'm going to take a measurement for full droop, full compression, and the approximate ride height. So it's going to probably require, it is going to require me to put a wheel on loosely after I get the other two measurements so I can kind of approximate the ride height. So let's get started. First things first, I need to remove the stub shaft, and I hope you Fiero guys out there are doing this. Otherwise, your wheel bearing can actually come out of the knuckle if you try to run the car. When I say run, I mean move the car around the garage or driveway. If you don't have this little stub shaft made, which is real easy if you have an old Fiero axle, your wheel bearing can, or not so much the wheel bearing, but the hub can pop out of the wheel bearing. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Alright, what I've done here, as you can see on the hub, you got the original Fiero axle sticking through with the wheel nut. All I have is the CV, outer CV joint. Move the car around without any fear of this hub popping free. Don't ask me how I know. So, we have to measure that intermediate shaft. We want to go from the seal to the wheel bearing seal. So, first things first, I need to pop off this stub shaft. Give it a little tappy tap. And there you go. And that, as you can see, it's went through the media blaster, is all you use. All you need is an old Fiero axle. If you're a Fiero guy, you probably already have a set of these. If you don't, you should make some. Absolutely. Now, they want us to go from this inner seal. Alright, I feel it. Okay, so she said. And we're going to go from that seal to that shaft. And I'm trying to figure out the best possible way for you guys to see this. So you're probably just going to take my word for it, because this is a really awkward setup to try to film, but we're going to do what we can. What's it? Of course you won't. This really should be a two-man job. Let's see if we go this way. Alright, that's our seal. So, full droop. That's a pretty good one. At full droop, we are at 1 foot, and I'd say 19 7/8. Oh, you see that? See that camber change? I say that's not into the lowered look. Well, let me rephrase it. I'm not into that slam look. Even there, it's too tall. That's a lot of camber change. I'm surprised. See these locating links? When you lower your car, you really, at your ride height, you really want these parallel with the ground. If it's kicked up at all, you saw the camber change. So if you want the car to handle well, these really need to be completely parallel. So we'll have to make a drop down bracket to get those back from level. I guess I can go through the process or give you an update on what I find out on the driver's side. It's a little bit different because it doesn't use the intermediate shaft. So I'll be doing the transmission axle seal to the wheel bearing seal on the driver's side. And once I get that done, the wiring harness should be here any day. So we'll get to do on the wiring. I still got to work on the coolant routing, and then maybe we can move on to the fuel lines. I'm really looking forward to doing that. I like making lines up. I think for Brian's setup, I really think that push lock hoses are our best bet because I can make them here. There's not a whole lot of special fittings you need, and as a matter of fact, okay, I'll have to edit that shaky part out. These are push lock fittings. Pay no attention to the anodized blue stuff. That's the banjo fitting that we need for the Honda fuel filter. And this is the fitting that you would need if you're going to tie in from the Fiero stock lines that come from the gas tank. If you wanted to switch your lines over to braided, you know, AN fittings, this is one of the adapters that you would need to go from GM metric, which is this side, GM metric, to AN. But yeah, I have a few push lock hoses fittings left, so it wouldn't require a whole lot. But what I will have to do, and I'll show you a demonstration over here on the car, or not the car, but the fuel lines rather. All right, this is the Fiero sending unit right here. Now my plan is to, somewhere in this general area, we are going to have one of these, not this one specifically, because there is a specific fitting to tie into metal line, and we're going to of course have that welded into place. What we're going to end up with is a fitting so our push connect will fit in here somewhere like so. Maybe here, of course that's to be determined. And then we'll just push lock the hose in, run it to where we want it to go, and that'll be that. It's because I really don't like messing with these. So we'll end up probably doing it somewhere under here for when we have to drop the gas tank. So might have to do 90s, or I'll have to play with it, figure out where I'm going to go. But yeah, that's push lock. You can always tell by this piece of plastic right there. So yeah, I think I'm going to call it a night there. It's midnight. Oh, you can see a good shot of my burnt nose from welding. That was really fun.